हेलो एंड वेलकम टू माय चैनल वर्ड प्लैटर। आज के इस वीडियो में हम देखेंगे कि मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्री आखिर होती क्या है। व्हाट इज मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्री, इसके कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स देखेंगे और साथ में एग्जाम्पल्स भी।
सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द लेसन। तो हम सबसे पहले यह समझेंगे कि मेटाफिजिकल का मतलब क्या है। What is the meaning of the word metaphysical? The word metaphysical is made of two words. यह दो शब्दों से बना है, मेटा एंड फिजिकल। मेटा का मतलब है बियॉन्ड या परे, एंड फिजिकल का मतलब है द फिजिकल वर्ल्ड, हमारे चारों ओर जो दुनिया है जिसे हम देख सकते हैं, महसूस कर सकते हैं, जहाँ हम रहते हैं। तो जो चीज़ इस दुनिया से परे है या बियॉन्ड है उसे हम मेटाफिजिकल कहेंगे। क्लियर? नाउ metaphysical word was derived from a Latin word and it deals with the questions that cannot be answered by science. It asks questions about natural world in a philosophical way, or we can say it refers to ideas or doctrines or posited reality which is outside of human sense perception. या ऐसे क्वेश्चंस को डील करता है जिसका कोई लॉजिकल या साइंटिफिक आंसर या प्रूफ नहीं है। दिस वर्ड मेटाफिजिकल was first coined by Samuel Johnson. He used this term not to refer to a particular age of poetry, but to a distinctive school of thought. Distinctive मतलब clearly different from others या सबसे अलग. So this term was used for a specific group of 17th century poets who were considered highly intellectual because they used very strange imagery in their poems. मतलब इनके thoughts बिल्कुल अलग होते थे and used frequent paradox too, यानी विरोधी विशेषताओं वाले कथन या विरोधाभास का इस्तेमाल करते थे. These poems were about profound areas of experience, especially about love and romance, about man's relationship with God, the eternal perspective, and less about pleasure, learning, and art. Now, Samuel Johnson, about whom I've already mentioned, the person who coined the term metaphysical. Okay, now he, in his work, that is Lives of the Most Eminent English Poet, which was a biography on 52 poets. Okay, so in one of his chapters on Abraham Cowley, okay, so in one of his chapters, which was on Abraham Cowley, he uses the term metaphysical and writes that a race of writers had appeared that might be termed as metaphysical poets. Actually, it so happened that these poets themselves didn't know that they were metaphysical poets until 20th century when their works were adequately recognized and published. Now let's look at the characteristics of the metaphysical poetries along with the examples. The first characteristic is obscurity. Now these poetries are highly ambiguous, यानी जिसके कई मतलब निकाले जा सकते हैं. Due to high intellect and knowledge of metaphysical poets, ऐसे poetries को समझना काफ़ी challenging होता था. जॉन डन, जिनका नाम सबसे पहले लिया जाता है मेटाफिजिकल पोएट्स के लिस्ट में, इनके कई सारे पोएम्स ऑब्सक्योर या एम्बिगुअस थे. सेकंड है, these poems were highly terse and concise. Yani, these poems were very brief and short in length. Every line conveys a lot of meaning in a very few words. Every word is adjusted in every line like a brick in a wall. For example, I am two fools, I know, for loving and for saying, in whining poetry. This is a poetry, The Triple Fool by John Donne. यानी ये पोएम्स बहुत ही छोटे होते थे लेकिन इनमें बहुत ही डीप मीनिंग होता था. नेक्स्ट कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स इज एफोरिज्म इन मेटाफिजिकल पोएट्री. द पोएट्री इज अ वास्ट कलेक्शन ऑफ मैक्सिम्स एंड सेइंग्स. मतलब एक जनरल ट्रूथ या रूल ऑफ कंडक्ट. जैसे हम कहते हैं डोंट काउंट योर चिकन्स बिफोर दे हैच, ये एक प्रोवर्बियल सेइंग है. इस तरह के कई सारे मैक्सिम्स मिलता है हमें मेटाफिजिकल पोएट्रीज में. तो एफोरिज्म का एग्जाम्पल आपको अ वैलेडिक्शन फॉरबिडिंग मॉर्निंग बाय जॉन डन में देखने मिल जाएगा। Now next characteristic is metaphysical conceits. यह एक important feature है. It's a significant feature of metaphysical poetries. Conceit is a far-fetched comparison of two dissimilar things which have very little in common. That means दो ऐसी चीज़ों का comparison किया जाता है in poetries में जिनमें कोई similarity नहीं है. For example, Abraham Cowley, another metaphysical poet, in his poem The Mistress, he compares his love for ladies to his habit of traveling in various countries of the world. The next characteristic is unified sensibility. This implies fusion of thoughts and feelings. Metaphysical poets did not dissociate feelings and reasons from one another. It means जो वो poem लिखते थे, metaphysical poets जो poem लिखते थे, वो उनके thoughts and feelings का combination का fusion का result था. Next point is colloquialism. These poets employed their own diction in their poem. For example, John Donne in his poem Canonization uses very simple diction. Next point is originality. These poets had unique and original ideas and thoughts. यानी इनका अपना ही स्टाइल था लिखने का. ये किसी भी कंटेम्प्रेरी पोएट्स को फॉलो नहीं करते थे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल द फ्ली बाय जॉन डन. द फ्ली जिसमें he calls the flea a marriage temple since it has sucked the blood of both the lovers and the two blood mixes in the flea's body, and hence killing a flea is like murdering three souls. Next point we have wit. It means that the poets used appropriate thoughts, ideas, and various figures of speech in such a manner so as to provide pleasure to the readers. It means that उनके poems में वो बिल्कुल सही thoughts and ideas का इस्तेमाल करते थे जिससे readers को पढ़कर pleasure मिले, उनको अच्छा लगे. Now let us look at the next point, that is platonic love, which means that these poems were free from the element of physical love. It was all about the spiritual love. For example, we see in the poem Canonization that the poet considers the love as a sanctified thing. इसका मतलब है कि इन poems में poets physical love को importance नहीं देते थे. It was all about spiritual love. वो spiritual love को importance देते थे. Now the last point is spirituality. So in these poems, the poet used to use philosophical and spiritual themes. The nature of reality, existence and truth is explored in these poems. इसका मतलब है कि metaphysical poets धार्मिक और आध्यात्मिक विषयों पर अपनी poems लिखते थे और उनके poems में हम देखेंगे कि वो allegory, symbols, metaphors इस तरह के devices का इस्तेमाल करते थे. In the end, we look at a few examples of the metaphysical poets. They are John Donne, जो हमारे लिस्ट में सबसे पहले हैं. He is the most popular metaphysical poet. Then we have Henry Vaughan, Andrew Marvell, and George Herbert. I hope you've understood the content properly, and if you've liked my content, please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.